Doom The Dark Ages is failing to get players. Why is this? What happened? The entire internet was abuzz talking about Doom The Dark Ages this week, and yet nobody's playing. Very, very odd stuff right here. Now, there's a couple of situations that all tie into this on like a global philosophical level on our culture, and this is why you guys watch this channel and not others, because we talk about things on a deeper level. Now, one is, of course, consumer impatience. This is a thing. Now, from my understanding, and I've of course researched into this quite a bit. I'm not getting a game because it's a $70 game, and I think a lot of people are there right now. And there's only so much time, and I'm not one of those keep up with the Joneses people, which is going to be my second point on this. But there's a lot of that out there too. But there's a lot of consumer impatience these days. I keep thinking about television shows and the like from the 90s, etc. And you look at like Star Trek and The Next Generation, like it took till season 3 to get good. Can you imagine a show lasting 3 seasons now before it gets... People tune out after one episode. There's no patience in our current culture anymore because we're in such a state of, I got to have my instant gratification right now. And Doom The Dark Ages apparently gets way better in the second half of the game. And it is apparently a lot easier than the last Doom game. So if you want to get there, you got to just spend the time doing it. And then on the other hand, it is kind of a mid-game from my understanding, and that it's not as good as Doom 2016 at all. And so it's like, okay, well, I just want to play my old Doom game. So those two things are going on, but that patience level is an interesting thing in our culture where it's like you almost got to front load things at this point, which makes things harder to stand the test of time, because if you blow your wad all at the very beginning of things as a storyteller, and this is what I do for a living, right? I write science fiction and fantasy books. If you blow your wad at the beginning, it's very, very hard to keep that going to where it is you build something that stands the test of time, because you can't keep that pace going very easily. Now, if you build a slow burn that gets better as it goes along, people run out of patience, and so they don't check it out to begin with. It's a catch-22 with a lot of modern culture right there, which is a failing, just I think, of our sort of TikTok generation, where it's like we're just scrolling through things so fast that like we got to get that instant gratification right now. Now, the second thing that's an interesting philosophical point going on right here, and I'm not making judgments. Like, I mean, we're all guilty of this to some regard, and we're all not guilty of it to other regards. I mean, we're having a nuanced discussion. I know, on YouTube.com, it's a thing. But the cult of the new is another thing, and that's what these corporations really rely on with a lot of people. You've seen the buzz on this game where it's just like, Doom the Dark Ages, gamers, let's play this. And it's the game of the week. And last week it was, Oblivion remake. And the week before that, it was Split Fiction. And the week before that, it was Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Well, if you notice, like, all of these games, like, they get that flash where, like, everybody's talking about it for a minute, and then it goes away. None of these things are actually products that have been built with, like, love and care that stand the test of time, that are really, like, creative deals. Like, from my understanding, the gameplay of this is just like a generic Xbox shooter. So there's not really a big gameplay reason to get involved in this. And so that cult of the new thing has really driven our society into consumerism in a way that's just been very, very toxic over recent years. And I keep saying, we got to like dial it back from that and really just like focus on art, focus on storytelling, focus on creativity if we're going to make our culture great again. So that's how I'm going to start this as we talk about Doom the Dark Ages and is failing to achieve even half of peak concurrent players. Love to have a discussion with you. Let me know your thoughts on both of those topics in the comments, because so interesting just analysis on our culture on that level. And of course, we try to look at things from a deeper perspective than a lot of other channels out there. I know, and I appreciate you guys for being there. We cultivate a smarter audience as a result, and it's an audience mostly of readers, from what I understand as well. And I think that's a big deal here, and I think more people need to learn to read these days. And I want to help. So I have a newsletter, guys. It's in the description below, and I'm an author. I write a lot of books. If you're a fan here, you are in for like a gold mine, because I am super prolific and writing all the time, really flexing my creative muscles, doing different things all the time, because, I just like creativity. I like fun. And so this is in the description below. You get 3 free books, $50 value. You get a science fiction novel, a fantasy novel, and a graphic novel, a superhero one, comic book, all for free. And that way I can stay in touch with you because I'm going to have a bunch of new releases coming out later this year. This is going to be one of them. I just finished my second book in this trilogy, and I'm going to release the whole trilogy together. So once I'm done with it, that's when I come out with things. That's how I do things. And then you can check that out. It's going to be amazing space exploration. So get on here so I don't lose you. So important right now. And, of course, sign up for Phantom Pulse, where we talk about the news every single day as well. So here's what's going on with Doom the Dark Ages. It's only managed to obtain a peak concurrent player count of just 30,812 on the first day of release, and it hasn't really gone up from there either on the weekend. We're gonna get into the reasons why in a moment. This is half of Dragon Age The Veilguard, which is crazy. Dragon Age The Veilguard was seen as an abject failure. This is a AAA game again. So what happened here? Why is this happening with Doom The Dark Ages? When this game, by all accounts, is not really woke. It's not, it's not really got a problem on that level. It doesn't have these pronouns and things like that like the Dragon Age thing had. It doesn't have top surgery scars. And so what's happening with this? Well, I've got a couple of reasons, but I'll get into this in just a moment as well. Furthermore, the peak concurrent players, it was less than half of what Dragon Age The Veilguard was, as you can see, which was a huge failure as a AAA game. It doesn't appear that it will best the previous entry in the franchise, Doom Eternal, which was released on Steam in 2020 and hit an all-time peak of 104,000 at the time of that. 2016 Doom hit a higher peak, and of course, Steam was not really even remotely the same platform back then. So everybody was playing 2016 Doom of 44,000, which is wild. Now, I think Doom Eternal was okay, and it was a letdown from Doom 2016. And because of that, we're now into installment number 3 of a franchise that, it's already reached its peak and it's already in that slide's going to happen, right? And so it's like everybody, as they look about this, is nostalgic for Doom 2016, kind of wants to go back to Doom 2016, right? More than actually play this game, and that's a problem that you have with franchises. I mean, we got this with Assassin's Creed Shadows for sure. We're way past like Odyssey, right? And so at this level, I think that people are just like burned out on a franchise that really didn't get better and didn't get more innovative and didn't change things enough to matter. And that's exactly what this game is. There's not enough innovation. The gameplay is really not there. They set it up story-wise. Like, I guess the story is better than any Doom before, but do you play Doom for the story? Are you really reading this magazine for the articles, my friends? And that's kind of like where it seems to be at with what's going on here. Kudos to them for making a good story. I mean, I'm going to give props where it's due. But the gameplay being something out of like just a mid-2000s Xbox shooter is just not enough. There's too many games out there now to spend $70, and that's the other big thing. Games are $70, $80, $100 now for a game just to get a quick gameplay that's not that interesting because you've seen it before. There's too many options out there now for you to do this. And of course, with Steam libraries and everything, you now are not only just playing against other things on the console you're trying to find right now. You've got every game ever in history that's still remaining on the Steam library there. So pretty different environment than it's ever been before. And so you have that as one thing. Like I said, the price tag, I think, is another thing. I think that as these games start to get more expensive, it is a thing. At the beginning of this, they were blaming Game Pass for this and people getting on Game Pass. But you got to remember the Oblivion remake was on Game Pass and got a lot more than this, and that was just a remake, right? But everybody wanted to be back on Oblivion because the gameplay of that was that good. And so what's happening is these corporations are spending big money on graphics, spending big money on voice actors and things like that. And they're not developing new gameplay. They're not really building the artistry. And the reason is they want to play it safe, right? Because if they develop and change the gameplay too much, and they you can get a lot of criticism for that because if it fails, it really fails spectacularly. If they play it safe, well, they're going to get a middle level accolades of it. They're going to get a 7 out of 10, and Demian gave it as a game. He said it was easier than the last game, Dooms. He's got the platinum trophy on it already. But they're not going to get a lot of criticism for it either. And so playing it safe is also a failure of artistry in a level, which is what we're seeing here. And I think when you play it too safe, you kind of lose. And it's tough. I get it. As a brand, you kind of want to play it safe because when you don't and you go out there and you go way off the rails, Dragon Age The Veilguard, you fail. Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed Shadows, you fail. But when you play it safe, you also fail. So you have to have that like happy middle ground where there's enough artistry to something to make it worth the while. But at the same time, do honor to the setting and themes and the like. And I think it's not as hard to do as people think, but when they go for their, quote, artistry these days, unfortunately, the people involved are woke activists, and they try to push DEI into everything as if that's what's going to... It's the first black disabled lesbian Doom, right? That's what they're trying to go for, and that's not actual artistry. That's just adding in DEI into things. And so that's where it's tough. It's really tough to be an artist and actually change things and do things originally enough to make something worthwhile. And that's what we have going on with the situation here. So the Cult of the New did not win this time because people were just like, it's not that interesting. But again, like, I did see a lot of talk about it this week, a lot of hype around it, a lot of the streamers streaming it. That's what's going on. It was just the game of the week again. It's coming out next week, and what's going to be the next Cult of the New thing? That's going to be next week's topic. I think a marathon's on the marker right there pretty shortly. But that's these are old brands that are just not doing enough for just to maintain what they were given before. On top of it, I just think people are not patient enough. If it does pick up a lot better in the second half, as I've heard, there's just you just can't spend several hours before you make something interesting. Otherwise, people just tune out. So that's what we have here. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Please hit the like and subscribe button, guys. Really appreciate you being here. Sign up for Fandom Pulse, our news site, in the description below, where we tell the news that nobody else will. We're innovating every single day here, making modern journalism in a way that nobody else is doing out there. We are the real resistance from Kotaku, PC Gamer, IGN. We're taking over those spaces because we tell the truth when they won't. And please sign up for my newsletter. If you like my thoughts on storytelling and the like, I think you'll enjoy my science fiction and fantasy. It's in the description below. You get 3 free books for doing so. We'll be back soon.